What's going on, fellow A-pluses? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new video for you guys today as we're set to get into yet another reaction video. I've been loving these reactions, man. They've been having some really incredible interviews that have been dropping, some incredible snippets when it comes to featurettes, interviews for upcoming series or movies that we've been really diving into. We did one in regards to Kraven the Hunter last week. We did another one yesterday in regards to DC Studios and James Gunn's DCU. And today we're going to go ahead and get into Star Wars Skeleton Crew. That's right, the brand new Star Wars series set to go ahead and drop December 3rd for you guys. Right around the corner here in a couple of weeks, we will be reviewing Star Wars Skeleton Crew for you guys, very similar to how we did The Acolyte. We got ourselves our good old Jedi Council certainly returning, myself, Stuart, Will Polk, and Crystal Kyber. So we'll definitely be bringing you guys weekly reviews for Skeleton Crew dropping December 3rd. I believe it's a 2-episode premiere, if I'm not mistaken. Today, StarWars.com or Star Wars YouTube channel went ahead and dropped a roundtable discussion in regards to the creators surrounding Star Wars Skeleton Crew. We got, I think, Christopher Ford, Jon Watts, and a couple of directors as well. They're going to be a part of this particular series. So I'm excited to see what they got to talk about. It's about 11-minute clip, 11-minute video. So I'll probably be starting and stopping to kind of interject from time to time. But let's go ahead and dive in, man. Let's see what they're talking about today, shall we? If you want to check out this video for yourself, it is over on YouTube. Skeleton Crew Filmmaker Roundtable. Let's go ahead and dive in, y'all.
Speeding.
Just start yelling stuff. We'll get professional.
We'll get.
It's really fun to be able to write a show with your best friend and then make it with all of your friends, and we're really, really fortunate.
Especially when the show's about a bunch of friends.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew is about friends. It's by friends for friends. It's starring friends. This is what it's going to be like. This is as best as we can do.
Power of friendship.
You know, I didn't know that they were. I mean, they say friends, but I'm assuming they've probably have all worked together in some other atmosphere. You know, Jon Watts or Christopher Ford, they come from the Spider-Man trilogy as well, so they probably definitely have some connective tissues. But it is pretty cool that they have such a close bond, and I'm eager to see just what their um, relationships are like amongst each other on this round table. But for friends and by friends, definitely is a nice uplifting tone already for a Star Wars series that I'm hoping certainly brings a lot of people together.
This is going to be a fun roundtable because I've known Ford since everyone calls him Ford. No one calls you Chris, right? Do you want to be called Chris in the roundtable?
No, that's weird. Just call me Ford.
Ford. We've known each other for such a long time. I've known you since I was 18. I've known you since I was 18.
Wow.
I've known you since I was 18.
Yep.
What?
We just met like an hour ago?
Yeah.
What was her name?
We all went to school together at NYU.
Wow.
And I'm just a fan of you.
Right back at you guys.
On the
That's crazy. So they answered my question, right? Not just necessarily working with each other for a few years, but knowing each other for a few 18. That's crazy. So it literally makes so much more sense now. Like why the way that they write and direct together just works so incredibly well. Oh my goodness. That really excites me, especially like when you just know the vibe. You know, you got the secret handshake with your friends, right? You just know each other's vibes or what the person's gonna say afterwards. To make movies with somebody like that, oh, what a great combination to have.
third Spider-Man, I was shooting with Jon Favreau. We were just talking and I gave him the very, very quick pitch. And he was like, would you want me to like produce it? Like, is that cool? It would be like me and Dave Filoni. And I was like, yes, Jon Favreau, that would be great.
I remember when I was working on season 3 of Mandalorian and doing the previs, the third floor team who animates and creates all of the previs, they were working on the show, on Skeleton Crew. And I was like, oh my gosh, how is it? And they were like, it's so good. I was just like, oh God, that was so good. And so there was already like buzz on campus about it, you know?
It was a really easy yes. And you told me the elevator pitch of the show and then mentioned that Jude Law was going to be starring in it. And I feel like I had just left set like 5 minutes earlier, you know, making a movie with Jude and a bunch of kids. And I was like, oh, this is going to be exceedingly comfortable.
Yeah, and that was almost weird because we
I don't think we knew that when we first thought of you, and then we thought like, oh, is he gonna want to just repeat what he had
You're
done?
gonna want to
working
work with Jude Law
and,
again?
and it was like, duh.
And kids?
And pirates.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
answer was yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the director that they're talking was that David Lowery. I think what the film that they're talking about is the Peter Pan film that had Jude Law, the director of that film as well. So that's what they're talking about in the sense of like you literally just worked with Jude Law and kids. Do you want to come back on and work with them again? So that's pretty cool. But look, the moment that they announced Jon Watts was going to be on here, that's where my buzz certainly started. I did like how Dallas talks about like the campus was kind of all buzzing about it, going back to the concept of their school days and stuff. But for her to be able to see early previs work of it, it also goes back to show how long ago he pitched this during the making of Spider-Man 3. This was certainly already on his mind. So it is one of those things, especially when you're Disney, when you have really great creators sort of already under your banner, just go ahead and continue to use them, man. And I think we'll talk about the directors that they brought on board so far, but I'm really looking forward to this. And clearly, a lot of people in the Star Wars industry from Lucasfilm and Disney are excited about this one too.
There's a very specific Venn diagram that's like Jude Law, pirates, kids, and then David Lowery is in the center of that.
Yeah.
That's the guy you get.
Yeah.
I'm just their roommate from college, so it's sort of, it was more like,
No, you're very qualified, Jake. Very
Yeah.
qualified.
Yeah,
like,
Jake.
maybe not that qualified. Like, it was more like,
Jake, that's legit not true.
everyone keeps saying, like, I'm qualified a lot in a way that makes me feel like maybe I wasn't so qualified, but that's all right. It's fine. I just had to clean up after you guys at the end.
You have a particular set of skills.
Yes, exactly.
How did you get the Daniels to do this?
I know the Daniels through their DP, Larkin Seipel, who Jake has worked with. He shot all of Beef. And so we've all been friendly, and they're just like such amazing creative guys.
So Jake Schaefer, the guy that he just pointed to that said worked on Beef. Beef is an incredible series. If you haven't checked it out, it's on Netflix. So went ahead and is, I believe he's the director of the upcoming MCU Thunderbolts film, if I'm not mistaken. So they got him on board. They also talked about the idea of the Daniels being on board. And for those of you who don't know who the Daniels are, they're a filmmaking duo. There's two of them, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Shiner, excuse me. They both won Best Picture at the Oscars for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So if you're familiar with that particular movie, they will be doing an episode 4 directing for it. So that's what she's talking about. Like, how did you even manage to get them on board in the first place? Let's go ahead and continue.
When we hired them, that was before Everything Everywhere came out. We knew they would be awesome,
Wow.
just their whole aesthetic. It's just so
Before.
original and amazing.
We wanted them, and we wanted Lee Isaac Chung. Minari is like the most moving story of like a little boy going into a new world that he doesn't understand, and that's basically a version of what this show is.
And Isaac, it was really cool because we got to work on season 3 of Mandalorian together. And so he was like one of the directors that had gotten the bug and was just like, yeah, I'll do another one.
Yeah. He had already understood the process, and
Yeah.
that plus his ability to work with kids was just like made him so perfect.
You know, something that I noticed that
Wow.
was really
Incredible
kind of
lineup so
extraordinary
far.
is so often when you're doing anything as a director, you think about tone. Like that's a hugely important component, especially when you're a director who's coming in and directing an episode, you know, where there are creators and writers and showrunners who are also directing and all of that. And so you really need to kind of not create the tone yourself. You need to adopt the tone. And what was so cool is because you guys just come with a tone. Like that's just inherent. And it, I think, allowed for there to be so much cohesiveness in the storytelling because you all have such a shorthand. And I mean, I feel kind of included in this as well. Like I know what you guys do.
Yeah.
I know the vibe. And it was just
Yeah.
awesome to get.
I literally just said that, right? Like the fact that they know each other for such a long time, like you know what the other person's gonna do. There's just a vibe that you give that you guys just immediately have. And same thing with the handshake, right? She refers to like shorthand. The fact that she knows them so well, she can kind of come in and just adapt to their style. I think says a lot about just really getting the right people for the job to do something like this?
Get to kind of step into that.
That's what's great about having Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni as your producers is because
Yeah.
they're like the ultimate safety net. They give you sort of the freedom to follow whatever creative path you want to go down, and they'll let you know. It's like bumper bowling. They'll let you know if you're going too
They've
far
got
one
the
direction or the
guardrails.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are always asking what are the tonal inspirations for the show, and it's not like you and I have ever like consciously sat down and said, well,
Right, made a list.
yeah, a list of like, it's going to be a little bit of this Amblin Wonder magic with a hint of this. That's just like in our DNA. So we just talk about the story and then write it, and then I think find ourselves surprised at what we're referencing when we're writing.
right.
It just
And-
comes out
yeah.
like,
Okay, but you have always loved pirates.
I
Because
have
there
always
was
loved
a sound
pirates.
project from freshman year where you guys are just doing all of the pirate voices.
Yeah.
It's like a pirate radio drama.
I love pirates.
So this is not coming
I've
from
always loved
nowhere. This
pirates.
is yeah.
It's fun to have a genre as an entry point
Yeah.
to help you sort of explore a different section
Yeah.
of the Star Wars world. And we went back and watched like old pirate serials from like the 20s and 30s, and that was a really fun entry point.
But just the stuff that you connect with as a kid.
As a kid, you want to go on an adventure. As a kid, I grew up in Colorado in the middle of nowhere, and we just go.
Oh, yeah, just go out for walks, I'm sure,
out
yeah.
in these like fields with nothing around, and you're just hoping that you go on a kind of Amblin adventure. That's just what we grew up with, and that's the kind of adventure that we were always looking for as kids.
Yeah.
The Amblin reference is so a part of us because we were raised in that world.
There's that sense of wanting to
It's almost like the fact that they were just raised during that time period and they had that type of childhood, that it's like, right, it's just kind of like that, you know? I mean, you even look at what John Watts and Chris Ford wind up doing for Amazing Spider-Man. In their own sense, they're very much like Amblin films in the sense of people coming of age sort of stories, you know what I mean? Going on their own sense of adventures in certain circumstances. So it does feel like it's inherently like just their style because of just how they were raised and grew up.
go on an adventure as a kid, but I think anyone can remember that moment, like when you're a kid and you sort of expect that like maybe all adults will be safe and helpful, and then you realize that like adults are complicated and the world is not. And that's even in Goonies, it's this like realization that adults don't always have your best interest at heart or want to do things. I just thought there was something really, really resonant about that.
And there's a really interesting tonal balance. Like the thing that made those Amblin movies have that spirit was something that Kathy Kennedy would talk about. She would say they were grown-up films that just happened to star kids. So you'd make 4 10-year-old kids your main characters, but it's not a kid's show. It's not a kid's film. You're still making the stakes really real. You're still making it dangerous. You're combining that, childlike sense of wonder with a real dangerous world.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
Star Wars
Yeah.
show that can sit next to all the other things in the Star Wars environment. Having Jude on set
Wow.
is like, Jude Law is so amazing.
I love the
And he was like sort of the
costumes.
co-director. And like,
I wonder who the costume designer is. I just want to go back as they're doing that like superhero walk down the down the slow motion walk down the. I mean, I love the bomber jacket that she's kind of wearing over here. The long, sort of heavy trench coat that Jude Law's rocking. I still can't get over the visor that this kid in the back is rocking too. Just reminds me of Jordy from Next Generation. But I do enjoy a lot of the costume design.
amazing. And he was like sort of the co-director and like in so many ways, because he's there
Oh,
with
they
the
used the
kids
volume
in
for some of
almost
those.
every scene.
That's cool.
Keeping them focused, running lines with them, making sure they hit their marks. Like he was just like, in addition to being like an incredible actor and wonderful man, like he also just helped us so much
I wonder
with
if
the
he was
kids.
like that
It's
on
such
Peter
a
Pan.
gift to have an actor like that who not only can just, give you that incredible performance, but also show the next generation of talent.
And just as an example, I just remember seeing him like in the cockpit, and he's holding the yoke, and he's looking, he's seeing all this stuff, and it's just a blue screen. And it's like he seemed more lost in his imagination than the
Yeah.
kids. And they would look at that and be like, okay, I see. You really have to like really
Yeah.
imagine really hard.
That's so cool, man. Props to Jude Law, man. I don't know if look, I hear people give Jude Law praise when they mention his name. I don't know if we give Jude Law enough, honestly. You know what I'm saying? he has always talked about how excited he has always wanted to be a part of the Star Wars world. And it's like, the fact, the moment that you get that opportunity, you sort of knock it out of the park and you give it your all. Like when he talks about how invested he is with his imagination, like, man, that's top tier acting, man. Top tier.
Yeah, he's like, in a way, him in real life and his character are kind of like a grown-up version of all of the kids
Yeah.
on the crew. And yeah, he brought like the grown-up side of that sense of wonder and imagination.
We'll make a partnership. But we have to move fast.
Another incredible thing about making the show is that when your main characters are 4 10-year-old kids, every day on set is like the greatest day in the world because they're so amazed at every single thing that's going
It's
on.
the best morale booster.
Yeah, like everyone has a great time because the kids are having a great time. You know, they're seeing animatronics and puppets and just all kinds of crazy
Wow,
special
what a
effects. They're
cool
having so much
look.
fun, and our 4
Wow.
kids were just such a fantastic little.
Hold on, I gotta go back.
Yeah, like everyone has a great time because the kids are having a great time. You know,
I love
they're
seeing the robot in
animatronics and
action.
puppets.
Wow, it's so cool just to kind of see like behind the scenes of them getting the robot to move and the puppeteering
And just
behind the
all kinds of
scenes.
crazy special effects.
I'm a
They're
sucker
having so
for
much
behind
fun,
the scenes
and our
stuff
4
like
kids
this.
were just such a fantastic little group. Like I
That's
love them so
awesome.
much.
Yeah.
That's
It
awesome.
reminds you of why you got into this business in the first place. So that like you're getting
Yeah.
to pretend, you're getting to play, you're getting to invent and have so much fun doing it. And so often filmmaking can become a job, but it's not. And when you're working with children, it reminds you that this is all make-believe and it's so much fun.
Robbie was doing all the jobs. He would always do the clapperboard.
Marker.
Anytime anyone would let him, he wanted to do that. He wanted to call
Okay.
action and cut. He wanted to learn what all the jobs were.
He also
Be a little
started
director
the
himself. He'll
trend
probably be
of
making
mustaches
movies
on
in like
set.
10
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Mustaches.
yeah.
They all came dressed up as various crew members on Halloween.
Robbie came and dressed as
Robbie was dressed as
Jon
me.
Watts. He showed up with a Starbucks, yeah, and his earphones, yeah.
Based on what
Oh,
the
that's
concept of the
priceless.
story was going to be, we knew they had to start in a more safe planet. It was an opportunity to, design a new thing. Like the kids' bikes was a really good place to start because I think when you're designing a speeder
That's cool.
bike, it looks really cool.
Yeah. Like,
So
how do you make Wim's
we're-
bike be
we're-
kind
yeah,
of
we're
corny?
like, come back. We need to bring in more Huffy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's like little tassels on
and
it.
we put tassels on it, and there's tassels in space.
Are there tassels in space? These are the kinds of
There are
questions.
now.
And that was the crazy thing.
You can always call Dave Filoni and be like, "Are there
Yeah,
tassels?"
can we do
inside?"
that? And the scariest thing he would say is, well, there are now.
Yeah.
Can I
I'm
just
excited
say
for
real
people to
quick,
see
this
skeleton
is about to wrap up here, but you know, shout out to just look. I'm sure for some people working with kid actors is probably it is like really a joy to kind of hear just the level of fun that not only the kids had on set, but also just the movie makers and the concept of it being truly a great sort of morale booster for them and to keep really the set lively. And I think when you've got that level of energy, it really forces you to want to do your best. You know what I mean? So I love the energy that they're already showcasing here, not just at the round table, but also just what they probably exuded, certainly behind the scenes type of thing. And so, when it comes to the child actors here, man, just from the trailers alone, I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far. I'm really eager to kind of see just how like leaps and bounds the steps that they take in regards to just some of their performances and whatever the case may be. But and I also would like to put a disclaimer out there, like, especially when it comes to kid actors, nothing wrong with certainly being critical of a show and having issues with performances or whatever the case may be. But, just seeing how lively and happy these kids are to experience a new wonder that is creating a Star Wars show, I think as kids, we can all relate to what Star Wars meant to us. And I know as we get older, we get a little bit more pessimistic about things, a little bit more cynical when it comes to life. As critics of the show, regardless if you want to give a creative critique about maybe some of the performances, let's just make sure that we're not getting into the realm of really disparaging them. Really, um, um, let's just not have another Jake Lloyd situation on our hands when it really just got out of control. Like, let's be respectful, can certainly be creatively critical, but just be mindful of the idea that they are only 10 something, what, 12-year-old kids or whatever the case might be. Because I think it's important for them to still be able to hold on to that wonder and love for what Star Wars truly is. You know what I mean? And I'm glad they had such a great time putting this together.
Because it's the same Star Wars universe that you know and you love. It's just a new perspective. The ability to see that world through the eyes of 4 10-year-old kids, I think, is a completely new way to enter this world that some of us know and love, some of us maybe haven't ever really experienced before.
Yeah, we were just drawn to that idea of these kids stumbling into the larger galaxy and not understanding it all. That was just natural to us, but it turned out that it's a great way for people who don't know the universe to get introduced to it because they're along with the kids. Or if you know all about it, you know all the things the kids are getting wrong and messing up, which is funny and tense.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to make something that works if you don't know anything about Star Wars and also works if you know everything about Star Wars.
Yeah, and then those two people can finally be friends with each other.
Great job.
Nice. Let's go, baby. 2 episodes streaming this December. I honestly cannot freaking wait. Like, I truly cannot wait, y'all. This is going to be something incredible. And look, shout out to, really pointing out the idea of like, um, just really pointing out the idea that, you can kind of come into this series with knowledge of Star Wars or without knowledge of Star Wars. And I do think that that sometimes is really lost upon us. And that's really what I'm hoping that Skeleton Crew can provide for us is some sort of camaraderie with everybody in the Star Wars universe or just Star Wars fandom in general, right? There do tend to be gatekeepers out there. There do tend to be people that will base your fandom off of how knowledgeable that you certainly are. And I think that's really the wrong way to go about it. Somebody told me once being a fan of something isn't the knowledge that you know, it's what you love. And I think if we could all come into the Skeleton Crew series just eager to see the perspective of the Star Wars universe from that childlike innocence that we all certainly had at one point and be thrusted into an adventure, into a world that these kids don't know, that maybe some Star Wars fans don't know, or even people that have never watched Star Wars for the first time certainly don't know. Maybe this is certainly their entry point into the bigger world. It is about kind of coming together and enjoying and learning things together and just having fun. And those are the vibes that I get from Skeleton Crew, from the people that certainly worked on it. It seems like they have really great intentions, something that they really wanted to go ahead and create for a really long time. And for me, I love their vibe. I love that they have shorthand and that they all get each other. I mean, the fact that, Jake Schaefer was talking about the idea like, bro, you've loved pirates for a long time, so like it's not surprising. The fact that he knows this about Jon Watts, I think certainly says a lot. And so to be able to see that this series is coming together the way that it is with such energy in front of the camera and behind the camera too, I think that's definitely going to showcase itself in the series itself. But look, guys, 11 minutes. Filmmaking Roundtable. What did you take away from this Skeleton Crew Roundtable and hearing everybody's opinions? Anything that worries you? Anything that really gets you excited? What are you looking forward to certainly seeing the most? I definitely want to know some of your guys' thoughts as we get closer to Skeleton Crew. But again, we will be reviewing it for you guys here. I believe the 3rd. Let me go ahead and pull up my calendar here. The 3rd is on a Tuesday, so if anything, we may be reviewing it for you guys. If not Wednesday night, then maybe on Thursday nights. But we'll definitely go ahead and keep you posted. I'll go ahead and put a preview post up on our APlus Hero Report YouTube channel so everybody knows when to expect our reviews, because we will be doing live reviews for you guys. But if you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, please. But that will do it for me here, man. I'll certainly see you guys soon. But until then, do me a big favor. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. May the Force be with you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.